And I think we're gonna.
We have Arlene online.
Just like professional network television, isn't it?
I'm like poltergeist.
Have this Zoom on, you gotta turn off your mic so that it doesn't turn, so it doesn't be for.
I think it's theirs.
I think it's coming from the,
I think it's
from inside the house.
Right behind. Go, Sonny.
Okay, I think we're good. All right, welcome to the Community Engagement Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Let's see who's here. A little roll call. Robin Beckdahl. Here. Bill Norman.
Here.
Summer Darrow is here. Arlene Fisher-Marr. Arlene?
No, she was planning on going online.
The only online are Gen Camp and.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna text her.
Leah Susie? Here. Logan Langford?
Here.
Mark Sava?
Here.
And I think that's it for us.
Yep.
Can we just excuse Arlene?
I make a motion that we excuse Arlene from tonight's meeting.
I second. All in favor of excusing Arlene?
Aye.
Leah. Any opposed? All right, she's excused.
Need to be excused. I'm gonna try and contact
Okay, great.
Go ahead.
And just for some quick approvals, the agenda as written, any changes or discussion on that?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Any second? I second. All in favor of approving the agenda as written?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I think Robin's probably cool with it too. She would have made her changes by now, I think. How about the minutes of the meeting for what was it actually, April 16th?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of the meeting from April 16th.
Second that.
Anyone?
I have Arlene on the phone. David, could you just send her the link online because she tries it through the Agenda Center and it's not working? That's true. You've already tried it, right? Okay.
Everyone in favor of approving the agenda as written, and the minutes rather, as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Ever check your email this earlier?
Check the email that he sent you.
Any public comments online?
He said, check the email.
Okay.
that he sent you.
City Hall updates. David?
I'm gonna keep
I don't
you.
have much comment on anything, just some of the other questions we have. I guess I want to address two things. They're both kind of city council related at the top. As we are finding out, perhaps the path to the city council, we may find out in November if it runs through the community engagement commission. With that in mind, since
We already know half of it does.
since we do have two members of this group who are part of this candidates, I would just like to remind everybody during CDC meetings, just be careful about any campaigning type comments on the group. I was at a meeting, a city related meeting a few months ago where.
He's
one of the
talking and I'm
members
trying
was
to get his attention.
starting to do a little bit of campaign related comments and, you know, that had to, cease. So, yeah, of course, you can do whatever you want to lend your support for your potential fellow members here if you want to outside of meeting times, but just be very careful with not using, the forum of the CBC meeting to, assist and, any of your fellow members or any candidates. And another thing I wanted to address is one thing that did not get on here because it happened at last night's city council meeting. Just for your information, there was
He's still
it was a resolution that was put up that would have potentially had a member from each commission be part of essentially an advisory board to assist the city leaders and council members with.
Has that been on? With capital facilities, budget related items. You all, I think, received an email about that earlier this week that could potentially be on the agenda tonight if you were to change that. That resolution ultimately failed. It looks like it was going to be a 5-2 failure, ultimately became a 4-3 failure. So that's where that stands now. So no need to change the agenda regarding that particular item.
And just briefly on that, a couple of us were at that meeting, and regardless of what the outcome was, it was very clear that it was a subject that was it was a hot little topic. So I was really glad to be part of this group and to be thought of very highly. Even I would say that the opposing side was still very complimentary about our group, and I think was probably some wheels were turning about how to use us best. So either way, we were brought up a lot, and clearly we have a lot of work ahead of us.
I have a request.
Yeah,
Arlene would like you to send her the link again
okay.
because it did not come through. And right now I have her on the phone, so I would like to change that she's attending
Yeah,
the
we
meeting.
got her.
Right now
She's
she's
attending.
attending on the phone. But she'd like to get that link again, please. You still there?
Mm.
Okay. Okay. I love technology.
When it
When it works.
Exactly. All right.
And while we're waiting for a second, I think also a lot of the specifics that could have the potential new commission, a lot of that work, if it just goes away, I think it does fall back on us very clearly. I think it's a lot of stuff that we will be engaged with. So I hope that as that stuff arises for us, we can look at it with the idea that there were a lot of people who wanted this to actually be a commission, a separate commission, and have that gravity towards it. And those who didn't, we'll just absorb it into our own work.
So I was on the Zoom meeting last night. I attended it via Zoom. That's what I do. And I have mixed feelings on that. I don't have that they were all that complimentary. I toward just the residents in general, and saying that we just didn't meet up to those abilities of being able to be on that advisory group. And I have mixed feelings, just for the record.
Yeah, I felt like, you know.
I
it was
don't
brought
have
up
that
the other-
feeling.
Yeah, the one of the comments that's brought up is that I didn't want city council to be dictated by a group of people that
I didn't know anything.
they read it the same way I did. It's sad. But if they're gonna ask us for our assistance, we're definitely there for them, you bet.
Okay, you still there? Dave's trying.
The email is running very slow and spotty.
Anything else on the updates?
I have one thing I got to compliment David on. If we're gonna talk about the podcast a little bit, it's at the farmer's market, 2 people came up to me and told me how much they enjoyed the podcast.
Awesome.
And
But both of our listeners did that.
David, get serious now, because it was really complimentary towards you, and I just want to let you know that you know, your efforts of everything that you do is being listened to.
That's good.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, anyone else?
In regards to Memorial Day weekend, just a quick plug, Rotary Club puts on, a weekend-long event at Pavilion Park. So starting Friday, there is a setup of the luminary display. Volunteers go and set up, it's about, oh, I don't know if I should say it because maybe you listen to the podcast to find out how many bags they set up. They set up, luminary bags, and put, battery operated candles in them. So they're lit up red, white, and blue at night. And that's set up all weekend. Saturday, there is a walk, bike, run. It's very informal. It meets at Pavilion Park. I believe it's at 9 on Saturday. And it goes to all the Fallen Heroes Memorial Circuit training sites. It's a little over 5 miles. And then Monday, we host a breakfast that is by donation, and it raises funds for Inland Northwest Honor Flight, which flies veterans back to the war memorials in Washington, D.C., which from all the stuff I've heard about it is a very healing experience for our veterans. And so that runs from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Monday. The program for Michael Baumgartner, our congressman, will be speaking. They present the colors, they do taps. There's several other things that happens. Mayor Chris will be speaking as well. That goes from 9 to 9:30 while people eat. But it sounds like I should suggest people show up early if they don't want to wait in a long line for breakfast. And you won't see me because I'll be in the kitchen.
We'll come
Okay.
by and say hi.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Can you ask Arlene if she's received my email yet?
Okay, Arlene, okay, will you be able to go online now, or should I just keep you on the phone?
We are still looking for volunteers for that as well. So we could use some more hands at the luminary setup on Friday at 11. And then also tear down after the event, I believe. So
I guess let me follow up on both Mark and Leah. If you listen to the Memorial Day podcast, which I really liked how that turned out. I had Summer step out of doing the trivia question for this one for a couple of reasons. One of them was at the time we were ready to post it, I did not know how many competitors she would have for city council position. I just wanted to make sure we're all being fair with equal time and whatnot. Plus, since Leah is on the Rotary group, I thought it would be very appropriate for her to do that. And she's very involved with coordinating this, as you have just heard. It made total sense for her to do the question this past episode, plus to allow her to say some things from the Rotary's end about that activity. So Summer is back for the next one, though.
thanks for having me in the guest spot.
She's back.
You can tell your two listeners.
But we could have an opening later in the year.
Tough competition. It's not. Discussion of business, community development department engagements update. Lisa Key. Gave a great presentation last night.
I think your mic's on, Lisa.
Thank you for having me, commissioners. I just wanted to spend a little time just updating you on the schedule and getting some feedback from you if you have any ideas for other types of engagement as we launch into the heavy lift of the comp plan engagement. As I said early on, we had to make some sausage before we had anything to talk to the public about. And now we're at the point where we're ready to kind of share some information, get some feedback. And it really is, for the comp plan, there are a lot of things that are being mandated. So truly the engagement associated with the changes in our development code and the things that are being mandated by the legislature are really intended to inform the public. But we also really want to get their input and help, and so that they can help shape the things that are not mandated, because we still have a great opportunity to make sure that this comp plan really aligns with the community's values and their vision for itself. And so that it is a really important process. We did fortunately have an extension from the legislature that the comp plan is now not due until December 31st, 2026. So a 6-month extension, but we had to have all of our housing code done by then anyhow. And they did not give an extension for that. So we're still on track. We're in a very good position because we figured it would take us that extra 6 months to really to really overhaul the development code. So it's all good, and we will easily meet the deadline, knock on wood. So, but I did want to tell you what's going on. So, we have, the city has hired a consultant to do the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Jen Camp, is actually the project manager on that, and she and Mikhail are doing a great job. Wanted to really plug the kickoff meeting that's happening tomorrow night. Lot of great activities, a lot of great opportunity for community engagement and feedback, and hoping that you all have it on your calendar. And hopefully following that, you can debrief with the planning group so that we can know what your thoughts are, what you think worked well, what you thought didn't work as well. Again, we're trying to kind of citywide build our capacity for engagement, and you guys are an important part of that.
What time's the meeting tomorrow?
4 to 6 p.m.
It's just a drop in.
It is a drop-in. They have a series of stations and activities, but yes, it is a drop-in. I passed around earlier a schedule for when we're going to be having comp plan engagement pieces, and we're trying to specialize. We'll have a lot of general information at all the times that we're at Farmers Market and Barefoot, but we're also trying to, for the Farmers Market, to have focused topics and make sure that we have specific information related to those topics. There's going to be a staff person at every one of those sessions, but we're working with we have some consultants, and we're doing some in-house engagement materials, and we will have those available. By the way, if on the off weeks, you're really excited about any of the activities we have going on or any of the engagement pieces, I'd love to have community engagement take our materials and for another weekend at Farmers Market. That would be lovely. And so I want you to know that we welcome your participation in trying to expand our efforts. The one thing we will be doing is we've created actually a log. You guys saw our public engagement plan. We've actually created a log where we're literally logging each and every engagement activity, how many people are being, what it is, where it is, how many people are actually being engaged through that process. And so we have, as I said, May 24th through the 13th, we're going to be at Farmers Market intermittently. We also are getting ready to launch a sign code virtual open house and visual preferencing survey. So we are overhauling our sign code. This is one where it takes some effort to kind of provide context for what the challenges are, and then seeking input on, what are your thoughts on this? Do you like this better than this? What are your thoughts on how to address this challenge? So it is we're going to have that online the first and second week in June. And then we'll be moving forward with development of that code. We've been doing a lot of research, a lot of workshop with Planning Commission. We're expecting to have public hearings on that at the Planning Commission in August, and we'll be taking it to City Council in September. So it's code related, but it's a long overdue code overhaul. And it's important that we get the community's input, because it is a very interesting challenge to try and balance the need for business identification and business communication with our community's aesthetic sensibilities, shall we say. Also, June 12th, we are going to have a virtual town hall meeting related to the transportation network analysis. And this is one that lends itself very well to an online engagement, because we will have some modeling information that we'll be able to share with participants. They'll be able to ask some questions. There will be some back and forth, but it's we found during COVID was the last time we did a network analysis update, and we found that was a really great format and forum for this type of a analysis and engagement.
Do you have a time for that?
Yes, it's 6 to 7:30 p.m.
Thanks.
on June 12th. And that is via a Zoom link. We'll be putting out the information on that shortly. I'm going to be asking David to help me with advertising that.
Did you want to explain more of what that is in case anybody's watching?
So transportation, the network analysis is we're taking the information on our housing and population estimates, where that land use is going to occur, where commercial development is going to occur, et cetera. And we create a sub-area transportation plan. So SRTC, our Spokane Regional Transit, the planning organization for our transportation system here locally. And they maintain a regional model. The problem with regional models is they only have collectors and arterials. They don't have all the local roadways.
Is this for like bus service?
This is for transportation, and it's actually going to be a multimodal. We're looking at cars, trucks, bicycles, pedestrians, and yes, we even gathered data on golf carts. So we'll be looking at that data, and we'll be looking at what needed improvements in our transportation network are necessary to support the projected population growth in the area, which is something that is very near and dear to the community's heart. They want to make sure that growth keeps up, or that transportation network keeps up with the growth. So the network analysis is doing exactly that. And so next up, beyond the transportation network open house, we, as I mentioned, we'll be doing also a comp plan booth for the entire Barefoot in the Park. We'll have lots of information. We'll have some activities. We are looking at doing a housing town hall, like a real town hall. We actually kicked off our engagement with housing with the City Academy last Thursday, and actually introduced them to a game called Housing Monopoly, where we got to actually look at some areas within the city and look at how we could densify housing in those areas. And it was a great exercise, got great feedback from the community, et cetera. We definitely want to do that as part of our housing open house. We'll have some other engagement activities, other information. Unfortunately, we're getting over-engaged, I think, this summer. We'd really tried to get as much of our engagement activities scheduled before school gets out, because July and August are just a loss from an engagement perspective, generally speaking. So we're looking at possibly this fall, September or October, to do the housing. We'll be pushing out the information in the meantime, and I think it'll actually be a lot more meaningful when more people have had a chance to actually look at some of the housing data that presented last night at City Council. So we're working hard to get that pushed out also, and I'd love to have any thoughts from you all on how we can do it differently. We will be posting it. We will have QR codes and probably do some posters on that. We do have other handouts that are going to be at Farmers Market related to how to link to the website and to the Zen City, et cetera, for the different parts and pieces. Lastly, We, as it relates to the climate element, we are planning to do, a, climate virtual open house, for a couple weeks in mid to late June. And this is actually going to be, we're using a story map that we already have a story map on there, but we're going to incorporate some surveys, et cetera, into that to get some public feedback on that. But what we're really excited about from the climate resiliency standpoint, the biggest topic that we're seeing a focus on is wildfire preparedness and fire resiliency. And we are planning on doing a town hall that's focused on Firewise this fall. From the other element, so there's two pieces to the climate chapter. There's the greenhouse gas emissions and reduction piece, and there's the resiliency piece. On the greenhouse gas and reduction, probably one of the biggest things that we can do to try and bring down the greenhouse gas emissions that are being generated in the city is to focus on energy efficiency in buildings. So we're looking at doing an energy efficiency and green energy town hall also in the fall. So really being very targeted in the things that we talk about, because we think that they're things that this community in particular will be interested in. Who doesn't want to save money, right? And we all want to survive through the fire season, right? So anyhow, so that's kind of what we have on tap through the fall for our engagement activities. And I just want to kind of ask you all if you have any thoughts on other things that we can be doing or should be doing to better engage the public. We're trying to kind of mix it up with online, in-person surveys, informational pieces, et cetera.
I got one question and I have a concern. And the concern is you're going to be conducting 3 town halls between now and the fall, correct?
We're going to have a couple virtual.
That's what I mean. Okay, that answers my question. Why virtual and not in person?
So as it relates to the sign code, this is one that really we have to tell a story, and we have to, what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide context and get some feedback specifically on how to deal with different things. Transportation network specifically is virtual because it's a format that works well when we're sharing modeling data, et cetera. It's a little bit, to do it in a setting like this is a little bit more difficult. And so that one, and the third one, the climate element virtual open house. Now, as I said, we're going to have some in-person open houses in the fall, but this one is specifically geared towards, again, using a specific tool. For those of you who are not familiar with GIS Story Map, it's a way that you can get mapped data, you can provide information, people can take a deep dive into topics that interest them, and then we can embed surveys on the specific areas. So when we're surveying them, we're asking them questions after we've given them some information. And this type of engagement works really well for some of these more data-driven types of efforts. And I've used this approach for, I worked on the Pocatello, Idaho's transportation master plan. And that worked super, super well. Doing it online over several weeks, you get a lot of people that have the availability at different times. They really enjoyed being able to play with the levers in this and to look at different scenarios based upon what they thought was important and what does that do to the transportation network is pretty cool. Another one that we did was, I don't know if you all remember the controversy back in, I think it was 2017, when Monroe Street in the city of Spokane went through the process of doing a road diet. And it was something that the neighborhood really wanted. It was really intended to make the environment more business friendly, but also more pedestrian friendly. And there was a ton of opposition from the businesses. And we used this story map as a way to kind of share data about how this was going to affect them, to solicit input and to try and analyze, like we were able to do surveys, we were able to distinguish between business owners versus residents versus commuters that were just passing through at the 5 o'clock hour. And it was, and it really gave us a good basis for making some decisions and for kind of assessing feedback and determining, getting feedback on how we could like minimize impacts to the businesses, what was important to them. And we had different ideas. And it actually laid the foundation for a really great process while the area was under construction. And we got a marketing company to figure out ways to promote the businesses even under construction, and created some different activities, little mini farmers markets, little mini business things to bring people in, promoting. And these are all things, ideas that came out of the story map survey. So there are specific situations where you can get more information in that format than you can gather in just an open house. So I know that, but we're trying to kind of keep a balance between the two of them and just trying to figure out which engagement strategies were better for which types of engagement.
Lisa,
Yes.
and I'm wondering, so it seems like we're moving quickly into a period where we've prepared for input and conversations, and we're going to do that.
Yes.
Does it maybe merit the expenditure of doing some kind of a mailing broadly that I don't know exactly what it would look like, but it would say, we've been doing this work. Now there are going to be some conversations, quite a few, in fact, that are going to occur between now and the fall. And here's a QR code, or here's where you can go to get details so that you can anticipate opportunities to participate.
So yes, absolutely. I think one of the things we want to do is we want to get these 8.5 by 11 flyers printed up with a QR code that is going to then go get posted with businesses and whatnot. So people will see them around town at the places they frequent. We'll have flyers like that at Farmers Market. We actually have a poster board that we're going to have at Farmers Market also that has that QR code. So I think that's a great idea. I'm not sure if the mailing makes sense. I think it's a relatively expensive undertaking. So we might want to target it when we're a little farther along, and when we have a working draft of the entire document, that's the time when and it goes off to Commerce for Commerce review. We have to do that process. We really want to make sure people are seeing it, that they're providing us with feedback so that we can prepare to make the changes in the final document. And so I'm kind of thinking that if we're going to do that, that would be the time, because right now I'm doing things piecemeal. And while it may not seem to make sense, I'm trying to do things I'm looking at critical paths, the land capacity analysis, the housing that feeds into transportation. Transportation is going to be a big piece also and so some of the other elements are not as linear as those, and transportation parks plan also will feed significantly into the 20-year capital facilities plan. So those are important pieces that we have to kind of get figured out. But I really do think that, and we want to get early and continuous engagement is the terminology that you see in the Growth Management Act. And we're working hard to do that. We want to get the input on the early elements, but we're really going to need to get the holistic input when we get the full document.
On Bill's comment, is that something you could partner with like Liberty Lake Water and Sewer District to just put a mailer out in the bills or something like that? Or is that kind
Possible,
of
they-
crossover of different entities that would be
Yeah.
allowed?
Yeah, so they only cover about 2/3 of the city. There's a
It's
third.
still a great way to canvas. the
It,
city.
it is if they're willing to do it.
Yeah,
So we can have that conversation.
We've ran across that.
but I'm sure some of this stuff affects them too with the building codes and
Well, yeah,
that stuff.
yeah, absolutely. So in fact, one of the things that we're doing, and I can have that very conversation with them, because we finished up we presented the working draft of the housing element, which was a critical path for meeting with utility purveyors, et cetera. I'm now sending these out to Avista, to the sewer and water purveyors, to, Central Valley School District, and scheduling meetings to have some conversations with them about their ability to serve the projected population and what that means for them in terms of their future capital facilities needs, et cetera. So those are conversations that we're having with those partner agencies. So I can absolutely bring it up when we meet with Liberty Lake Water and Sewer District, as well as Consolidated Irrigation. Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job. And when you first presented that communication engagement plan, I said, this is really good. I mean, I thought you're just hitting all the bases really well. So
Thank you.
A couple
That
things.
means a lot coming from a fellow planner.
Two things. One, when when you had the sign up sheet for the comp plan farmers market engagement, did you have topics associated with those dates already, or is that a TBD?
Yeah, so that sheet actually tells you
Did
what
it?
the
Boy, wonder what I signed up for.
And were you expecting that we would sign up where you have a person assigned from
Yeah.
the?
There were blank spots on the right-hand side that we were looking for people to sign up for. We've got staff for all of them. So yeah, so just, and again, we'll have a lot of information on a lot of,
That's kind of scary to sign up alone.
well, you're still gonna have a staff person
That's
there
the
with
staff
you.
person. So that's the staff person and the slots with you. So I chose this one down here. See,
The staff person will be there for the whole farmer's market. So just so you know, so
Sure.
that's why we have it set it up a little differently.
I think, so you answered my question by making me look at it actually again, but did you have any specific ideas of, are you looking for fun things to do around that? Are you looking to just demonstrate what you already have?
Well, so some of them we've already figured out and some of them we have not. I don't have a lot of information yet on the transportation piece. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. But I have consultants also that I'm brainstorming with them. What have you done at other things? What works well in this scenario? This housing monopoly was developed by SCJ Alliance, who has been doing some of the data crunching on the housing piece for us. And again, it was really fun. I'm not sure if it's going to work at farmer's market. I'm not sure we're going to have enough room or that it's good, but it will be ideal for the town hall meeting. Another thing that we're doing is with dot exercises. Yes, you can't be a planner and not do dot exercises, right? Right, Robin?
exactly, you have to have interaction.
So we actually have one that's about, and we're going to have it ongoing at these engagements, and it has to do with what are the characteristics that you value in this community, and it's going to help us with some of our urban design language. We have very wonky we have a very wonky definition of urban village, but it doesn't really get into the details of it. We want the community to tell us what are the features of this community? What are the things that they value? So and we'll have that for this Saturday, and we're going to have that for all the continuing exercises, because I think it's a really important piece. So those are just some of the ideas we have. Yes, there will be candy for the kids.
The reason I was kind of going down that direction is, are those things that maybe don't just live at farmer's market and that specific town hall? Maybe, again, not to muddy the waters with other, other pieces of this puzzle, but if we have any times where we have physical in-person engagement, I would think that if we could have some of the things that touch on anything fun you've come up with, I say bring it on. It's just get people peaked and excited about that next piece, maybe mixing up a little bit.
Absolutely. And you should all have my email address. If you don't have it, please grab a card on your way out. If you have an engagement activity where you'd like to have, it's one of the reasons why I'm inviting you to participate with us, because you may see things that we have at farmers market that you're like, ooh, that'd be great in this engagement activity, or that'd be great with that engagement activity. I don't want to like, and in fact, for the Parks Open House, they offered that we could have other city materials there. I really don't want to distract from the Parks Plan engagement. And so I'm not going to have a lot of other comp plan things there. That's an intentional. But if you have other engagements, I'm thinking that it may not make sense to have anything at your Winter Glow Town Hall, but if you tell me you want to, I'm happy to provide the materials.
And have you had any resistance? I mean, I love every time you speak about any of this. I learned so much, and I think everybody for the most part does as well. I'm just curious if there's been any resistance or anything you are faced with yet at this point.
Well, there are some of the development code mandates, the housing mandates that people are not thrilled about. But again, at the end of the day, we've really, again, we set out with the intent that we are going to inform people right up front. What are the things that we have a choice about, and what are the things that we don't? And so we're trying very hard to make sure that people are clear. This is what it's going to be because the state says thou shalt. And it's interesting because for many of these, they're what the state is now referring to as preemptive amendments. So if you don't change your code, guess what? Come January 1st, 2027, you'll be following the state code.
All right.
Sure.
So
And this is going to be worse than.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We can write some, again, a great question that came up last night related to ADUs, right? So the question is, well, can you limit the lot size? And it's like, no, you cannot limit them except if for any lot size that's over 1,000 square feet, which is not very big. However, we can still limit building lot coverage, which we have in our code, and that's a way to provide some sideboards and protections to the city. So that's the art of the
Sort of
crafting of
provides
the
that
code.
mitigation, you can look at things like performance standards too, to help to
Yes.
offset some of those impacts.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of going to be the art and the science of it. I think it's important that we're having these conversations so we know that what people are concerned about, even if we have to change the code, if we can do it in a way that's as context sensitive as it can be, right?
Yeah, I just hope that as any challenges arise, that you can bring some of that to us. I feel like a lot of the times for community engagement, it's us coming up with ideas and generating, you have a lot of those pieces and we're coming up with new things. But I think if there's specific problems to solve or challenges, especially again, being at the meeting last night, a lot of the community engagement stuff is about not being heard. And I think it's a challenge for us to figure out what people aren't being heard about. So when we hear what people are resistant to, I think that's a big piece for us to be able to help with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I value the relationship. I want to keep in touch with you throughout this process. Community engagement is so critical to the comprehensive plan. When we get to the end of this process, we really want people to feel like they own that comprehensive plan. This is your vision for the future. And so it's important that the community buys in.
Thanks. Anything else for Lisa?
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Winter Glow Town Hall, Monday, June 2nd.
Well, we had a meeting yesterday with all the subcommittee meeting. And we're in the process of setting up our agenda. And right now, Mark, Robin, and Logan, we have a little homework assignment from Mark McAvoy to send in some questions that we would like to be asked at the town hall. And yeah, we're hoping that people will show up so we can find out their feelings about Winter Glow. Basically, it's gonna be, like Mark said, it'll be a two-way street. Yes, you wanna see Winter Glow as it is today. No, we wanna see something different. Then we've got it, once we find out what they want, then we're gonna go attack, which way we're gonna go with it. So, but until, and like, we're going, the main thing is to get enough information that we can supply it back to city council, because the turn time is 24 hours. The next day is the city council meeting, that they're gonna make a decision on whether they're gonna go with it or not, so. So that's where we're at on that. Anything you want to add, David, Robin?
I'll let you two speak first and I'll add in anything I need to.
No, pretty much hit on it. Yeah, that's more or less just how we can kind of just structure the meeting on June 4th to make it as
June 2nd.
beneficial as possible. Or,
June 2.
oh.
So the advertisement for the meeting that I saw basically said, Winter Glow's going away. If you want to know what the potential future is, come to this meeting. But it makes it sound like the default is that it just shuts down. So the Winter Glow committee has made the decision that they wouldn't do it again at all.
The existing board as we know it today, nope.
Okay.
They're done. They're done, yeah. That's why they gave it the option.
I was there for the presentation or whatever, but I wasn't sure if there was
No,
gonna be
they-
some sort of handoff or it
They're
was.
they're taking Winter Glow to Cali Park or wherever they're going.
Okay.
So.
Robin, anything else you want to add from last couple meetings?
No. That's good to me.
Okay, I'll just add a few more things. Speaking about that Facebook post, which went up Friday. I checked the count on how many people have looked at it about 5 o'clock this afternoon. 36,000 views. For comparison, I am really pleased when any of our Facebook posts get 1,000. In the time I've been here, 3 years, I've only had one other post ever get beyond 30,000 views.
Was it the cat?
That one, no.
Okay.
Deserved to be. That one was also a Winter Glow post. It was a picture of the 3D fish, pair of fish. That one was actually more than 36,000. To me, this indicates, plus the comments we're getting from people with names I have not normally seen reply on our Facebook post before. It shows me that the message of this is resonating. There is high interest in this. There is high interest in Winter Glow. High interest in people not wanting it to go away, and what can we do to help make something still happen? To me, that's encouraging. That's the outreach we want. We don't want to have, in addition to the same group of people who are always concerned about things like this, it is great to get people coming out of their doors and saying, we also want to be part of this. We also want to be part of help saving this thing. We want to help share our ideas on this. Beyond that, just let you know what we'll be doing to promote this. I'll still be putting out that Facebook post a couple more times. I have a large card size version of the graphic from that. If any of you want to take this and just hand it out, I've got probably at least 10 of you each to take with you tonight if you want to. We will also have either this or maybe a slightly amended version of this available for the next 2 farmers markets. We're hoping to get more people beyond just the Facebook audience to see this and to be concerned and to be interested. What else on this?
Frames going up.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. A-frames will be going up about a week before this. They're already prepared, ready to go. We just have to follow the city's rules about how soon we can put them out. So those will be up probably around the time you see the Memorial Day ones go away. Yeah, through the assistance of our subcommittee and staff, we're going to be putting together what those 2 hours will look like. Oh, the other thing is, through our online citizen engagement resource, we're going to experiment with, this is a new feature that the manufacturers in city has put out that will allow people to do basically live online polling through their phones. So we're coming up with a couple of questions that Mark referred to. Which couple of questions could we ask live, both during the meeting and online, if people choose not to attend? And we hope they attend in person, but if they can't, we hope they will have the opportunity to see a couple of questions, flash over their phones within those 2 hours, and they can respond live, and we can probably see a tally of what people think, what their responses to a couple of these questions. I'm encouraged by this. We have not had a lot of time to plan this thing, for goodness sakes. But I think I'm going to be pleased by the results of what happened on June 2.
Well, if the farmer's market has any indication, when I was there Saturday morning, a number of people came up and looked at the event calendar, and I've had them focus on June 2nd about the Winter Glow open house, and people were taking pictures of it. They were asking questions of it. I'm hoping they can talk the talk and walk the walk. That'll be the telltale story, because I've been down this road many times. Yes, we will be there. We'll help you. We'll help you. And then you get there and no one shows up. So I'm hoping that this is a different scenario. So I'm trying to be optimistic about it. So.
So we kind of had a similar situation in my previous town where basically it was the Chamber of Commerce. There were several community events and they said like, hey, these events are not going to happen because we don't have enough volunteers, or the volunteers that have put this on in the past are kind of, aging out of their ability to do that. And it was just kind of a blank call for volunteers. And then anybody who responded that they would be interested in it got on an email list. And then whenever there were volunteer opportunities, they were emailed. Is there a way for the city to create like a volunteer email list?
I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't bring that up, but I forgot to. Without going into too much details, because the final product may change on this, but I am pursuing a volunteer recruitment angle to this that would be, if all things go well, that would be starting during this meeting. And my vision is that it will continue throughout the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, just to let everyone know, after the town hall, everything's not stopping. We're gonna continue to promote this at the farmer's market, at Barefoot in the Park, just to let people know that, Winter Glow's alive and well, and we need your help.
Okay.
I'm just curious, Mark McAvoy, do you have anything you want to add to this? Did we cover everything?
No, I think you covered everything pretty well. We're just looking forward to getting a good turnout at the town hall so that we can get the feedback that we think we need to help council make a decision. And then, like Mark just said, continue to enlist volunteers going forward. So whatever the council decision is, we're prepared to execute it.
I just want to say briefly about the town halls in general. We're starting to have a lot of these, and we're having the virtual town halls. I think it's important to obviously promote them as they're, coming up next on the agenda. But I think that if that doesn't, Winter Glow's special, right? But other ones might not be as special to as many people. I think really getting the message out that we're starting to have town halls on things you might be interested in, and then also taking that feedback, I wish there was a town hall on this or that, and trying to sort of compile that a little bit. But at this point, I think, personally, I think I'm going to go with that a little more, whether I'm at farmer's market or just out in the wild, that this is something we're doing now and we're taking seriously. And if we can come up with very specific examples of things that have positive outcomes that have come from these, or non-outcomes when there's not enough people attending, I think that's probably good messaging at this point.
Is that an element, and maybe it's already covered, that we can subscribe to notifications?
Yeah,
from,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so do those,
Notify
would
me.
those include notifications about town halls, or would that be a new subscription we need to create?
Depends on what type of thing they have subscribed to. We can probably promote that out more,
I think that would be good.
get people more aware of that.
Because I value those, they sort of, I can be ADD and they get my attention.
Sure. And if it's just an agenda packet, that's not always as exciting as an in-person event.
Yeah, there are various notify me lists, such as if you're interested in Parks and Arts Commission meetings, or if you're interested in press releases, different categories.
Right.
That's all message.
And I wonder if we could have something along the lines of community engagement opportunity, or something that has a bit of a call to action in it, maybe? For those. Okay, anything else on that town hall? All right, farmer's market. Mark.
Yeah, I was looking at the schedule for the farmer's market. CEC is scheduled for 14 farmers markets, 2 sessions. That's 28 meetings, okay, or 28 obligations, I should say. We have 7 people. And in the past, Robin and I have been the brunt of the people that are out there. And I think everybody should be involved with farmers market. So I'm just urging everyone to, if you can, I know we're all busy, but if you can, it's only 4 2-hour sessions. Sign yourself up for the CEC portion of the farmers market. And it goes through October. And it's just something I just want to get out there, because, it's be great. Logan's new, Leah's new. I see Leah's signed up a couple times, which is awesome. Thank you. But, let's get out there and get engaged with the people, and I enjoy working it, as a matter of fact. And I think once you get out there and do it once or twice, you're going to find out it is fun.
I only signed up for 2 because I just wasn't sure what the
Sure.
expectation was, so I didn't want to go and like sign up for a.
You can sign
bunch
up
if
for
it-
6 or 8 or whatever. You can sign up for
What?
28 if
I
you
have
like.
sessions with Rotary too, so.
I know. Yeah, they're right next to us. Yeah,
Okay.
the room, yeah, the
I can slip
Chief
back and
and
forth.
Chief and Carol were out there last week.
Yeah.
So it was good. That's all I had, on that. I just want to kind of make it a team effort.
We'd like to see you sign up for every month that contains the letters of your first name.
None of mine then.
You're lucky.
All right, farmer's market, does anyone else have any, anything new or any thoughts? I mean, we bring up the scheduling of it quite a bit, but before we move on, anything else?
I mean, being new to it, what is the expectation while I'm there? I mean, what are we engaging on?
Well, like I said, at the first one, Robin and I were, there was a couple things that we were pretty much engaged on. Number one was the Winter Glow open house, town hall. And then the library was another thing that was being solicited out there, and it was just, information about the library. Wasn't it, Robin? More so.
Just information.
Yeah, just people keeping abreast of what's going on. There's really isn't a set. For the most part, it's like, I would say like the next time we get out there, I think we'll probably something to where the point to where we'll work with the planning, whatever's going on with the planning commission or whatever. And, because right now, I really, I thought we might be working on doing the survey for a Pavilion Park playground, but that doesn't sound like it's going to be kicked out after hearing Nancy talk last night at the city council. That sounds like it's not going to happen until 2026. So they may need our assistance later on down the road to help with that. But right now, it sounds like it's not going to happen until next, 26. So, but no, it's do we have any set? No, there's nothing really set. But it is kind of interesting to get out there and, just people come up and they ask you questions. And honestly, don't be afraid. If you don't know the answer, there is a member with town, city council or the mayor that I've number of times I say, go talk to them. Go
Yeah.
talk to them
Do you guys ever like take down contact information and say,
All the
I'll help
time.
you? Okay.
all the time.
We used to have this green book. Right, Bill?
No, it was- Bill, wasn't it a blue?
It was
book?
blue.
Blue, yeah.
Oh, it's blue.
Do we need to buy a new one for
I think we
2025?
need to buy a new one and make a new one up.
I guess.
I will make some steps to buy it.
Appreciate it.
2025
No,
binder.
and it was helpful. We had a notebook with commonly asked questions, answers to those things, maps, place
Pictures.
to write questions in, take contact information, etc. Just kind of our Bible of our group, and city stuff. And we updated that as needed. And it was good also, I think, if you're there and you don't know the answers to questions, there's a lot of it to be found in that. I think the other thing, Robin was very successful at interactive, her flip charts, and
Question.
polling questions,
Yeah,
a la
those are
Starbucks,
great.
sort of, what's your favorite cookie? Things like that just brought people in because there's nothing to advertise. We're just informational and in the spirit of community engagement.
If I were to buy a new binder, is it my recollection, Bill, did you primarily put that together last time?
And I was going to say, getting the binder is the easiest piece.
Yes.
If you want me to sort of bring it back up as best I can, and then I can bring it to the council and we can either decide what might be missing or what can be improved.
Can we have something like that for the next meeting that we
Yeah.
can all go over? Okay, that'd
Well,
be great.
I'm thinking we could have this prepared earlier if you want to. Do you want to give me a list of what you'd like to have in there that we could print out?
I have a couple of ideas.
Okay, just shoot me an email, let me know what should be in there and I.
Yeah, let's put something together now
Like
that
my
we can have.
goofy
that
little
we can
graphics
review
that I
at
had
the
for
next
the,
meeting to-
sleeve.
and finalize it, but at least we can have something out of the farmer's market.
Sure.
That'd be good.
One of the most asked questions out there is, what's going up here? What's happening here? What's being built here? What are they doing over here? We need a map, and that helped with the first one that really says, oh, future this here, future this, or this is what's here. They ask that a lot.
We did, so.
We did have that,
What
you're
we had
right.
in the binder
Yeah.
was an
we
update
had
from
that.
Lisa every month.
Yes,
It wasn't a
Yes.
map, but it was a list of the
Okay.
the projects, and she
location.
included both the capital projects for the city as well as.
I guess it was the
Of
first
vehicle.
time when we started at the farmer's market and I had one of the GIS techs here give me a map and it showed everything, but nonetheless, they
Yeah,
asked
it
that
had
all
the
the time.
addresses for everything,
Yeah.
so it was easy to
Well,
Yeah,
that's good.
point at the map that we've got
Right.
hanging up there and say,
but that's
So,
Send me a list of what
Yeah.
city resources you think
I'll
should
do
be there
that.
that I can print out and we'll get it printed.
I'll do that tomorrow.
Perfect.
And that goes for everybody too. I'm not just trying to put it all in Bill.
Yeah, to be like, look.
Well, maybe not. We don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
I just like to give Bill a hard time. That was such.
I was hoping that we could just sort of reverence the memory of it.
It's not gonna happen, sorry.
Have an official book burning.
Yeah,
I had this terrible sense that someday,
It's gonna
30
show up.
months from now, it's gonna show up.
Show
under
up.
my
I
bed.
know.
Oh, I was thinking as soon as you completed the next
Yeah,
one, or
yeah, it'll
probably.
be next
But I
month.
think
Yeah.
it's here.
I think it is too. And it's got these adorable little graphics on the
Yeah.
front from 1992. Can't miss it. I went like vintage print shop deluxe vibe. Let's go for community engagement. Okay, all right, can we move on here to
Yeah,
amending the
yeah.
CEC membership requirements in ordinance 277, section 2B3 and section 2C? Mark.
Again, I'm being an advocate here. We still have how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've never had 9. We need to get 9 on our commission. We've been in business over 2 years. So I think we ought to just do away with the, um, do away with all the, go ahead, Robin.
I agree with that. If we cannot get the members or the commission that we need, but like, let's say we have a group or maybe,
Move closer to the mic.
let's say we have 12 people, then I think geographic location is important. Because if you have 5 or 6 from one area, you're not going to extend out of that area really to try and communicate with others. And I think we have to be flexible, like with what you want, we can get the membership, but we have to put an if then in there so that we have to recognize those geographical locations, because I'm from the River District and I'm never going to be as close to what Rocky Hill neighborhood or Meadowwood is doing. And that adds to me equity and diversity.
Well, maybe we, write this up as, I don't know how we.
With preference given to, candidates in an unrepresented area or something like that.
Sure, and I think that was one of the original pitches, which still makes sense. My only issue with that is the way people come and go potentially, or just the time frame of the alternating terms. I agree with it in sentiment. I'm just not sure how it ends up actually playing out. I'm wondering if there's something that's like, which I also hope that no matter what happens, when it comes time to do that, we consider that. It'd be great if we had a big enough problem that there was enough people that we had to deal with it.
Really knocking down the door to try to.
Yeah, and that's I'm wondering.
That luxury.
I'm wondering if it's, after X amount of meetings or time frame, we open it up to us, if there's a vacant seat for 3 meetings, 6 months, whatever it is, then it opens up to a larger geography for that term or something along those lines, because that's a problem we're in right now, right? We've had multiple vacancies for a long period of time. And I'm not sure when we get to the place where it's, we're full and now we want to, I don't know.
Well, how about, the only other.
Well,
thing
isn't
I
that what
could think
terms are
of-
for?
The only thing I could
Was that one?
think of,
I was gonna say, isn't that what terms are for? Because then if we end up with a bunch of people, then it's like, well, your term's up and your area is represented, so, we'll open this up to something else.
Sure.
I don't think, the only thing I am thinking of is that, I think we ought to keep it wide open now until we do get the other 2 spots filled. After the other 2 spots are filled, I think we ought to review it. And maybe at that point, set it up to where, okay, we do have a setup right now in north, south, east, west.
But haven't we addressed to a significant degree that kind of agility? So the rewrite here says that we maintain 4 positions that are tied to a geography
Mhm.
and 5 that are
At
wide open.
large, yeah.
And so if, given we can get the members that we need now from the at-large.
No, we got one of these areas is open
But it
at
doesn't,
Aaron.
but I
Rocky
did not
Hills.
read here that it requires that we fill the geographic positions first. Why couldn't the next member be an at-large member? It doesn't say that we give priority in appointing new members to a geographic. If we got to the point where we had 8 members and we only had 3 that were from a specific geography, that would put us in a little bit of a bind, because the rule would say, okay, because we already have 5 at large and we only have 3, then this person would need to come from a specific geography. That would be a little hard, and maybe we need to work that out, but I don't think we need to wrestle with that now.
Well, if we put somebody in at large, that's the exact position we'd end up in. Because Rocky Hill's open, right?
Rocky Hill's open,
Yeah,
but it isn't. I'm just saying that it isn't, we're not butting up against that now.
So it's better to fill a position now than to leave two open.
Well,
so you're
Because of that
saying
ordinance.
the next two positions, you're saying the next two positions to be at large, not worry about Rocky Hill.
that's what I would say. And I'm trying to be sensitive to
disagree.
what Robin is articulating because I think it's a valid point. I know that, well, I think it's a valid point that we have a connection to the neighborhood and in all likelihood have access to ways to communicate among people who live in the neighborhood that I might not even be aware of. If you were to ask me to promote something among the neighborhood at the River
River District.
River District, I'd have to go to Robin or someone who lives there to
Well,
figure out how to do that.
and potentially if Summer and Arlene, when their elections, we would have two new open positions. And are you at large or are you a geographical position?
I'm geographical.
One each.
Okay. So Arlene's at large?
Mhm.
Okay.
But we have the thing about this one though is we have the luxury of me slipping into her spot.
Oh.
Because I live in the ghetto too.
We're ghetto buddies. But okay, speaking on that, and I'll just say my piece on this. Initially, when I was appointed, there was some part of me that liked. That's how I got to know you were in the ghetto with me. There was something about that. I had a little bit of micro pride in that. And I learned where everyone else was at. And then I forget what the trajectory with Aaron was, but we moved positions around and at large around so that we could.
He got thrown in, I think.
He was in the wrong number.
Okay,
Yeah, he got
okay.
thrown in the river.
Okay, he was in the wrong one. Okay, I don't know. I kind of like that. I like something about it. And I've never seen us turn anyone away for any reason. So I just haven't seen it be a need yet. But if it becomes a need, I would absolutely go in that direction. I guess I just would be more interested in what your reason is because I want to take that seriously. I wonder what it is. To me, we just need more members.
No, I want to have.
And
full commission.
I think you want the same thing too. So I'm just wondering what we need to do.
You suggested earlier, if we get to the point where we have a position that needs to be filled geographically, we could put a sort of an escape clause that says, if the position is vacant for longer than 90 days, then we can elect a person at large without changing this. And if we just never get anybody from the River District, the worst case scenario would be that the next time we have a vacancy, we'd be waiting for whatever period of time we specify, 60 or 90, before yet again, we get somebody from any other place. That would give us an out, so we wouldn't have to ask permission.
Do we want to be trying to contacting like HOAs and stuff in those neighborhoods to say, hey, we're looking for someone to fill this position, like represent your neighborhood and spread the word directly to those geographical areas to try to get that
That'd
engagement
be,
there
I think, a first good start.
and just say, hey, get your voice heard. After 90 days, it's going to go at large and anybody can fill it. So if you want somebody from your neighborhood to be on the CEC, here's your chance.
Yeah. I will say, our town hall meeting, brought you to us. And I think the more of these, events that we have, we're going to naturally get people who are interested and involved. I think the beginning of this commission, we didn't have as many of those, events that were clear. We were there helping promote some specific, item. So yeah, I think
The
anything
one that I
would be
went
like
to
that.
was great, especially for somebody new to the city, because it really introduced me to all of the different departments within the city and everything that the city had to offer. And I found it very, very valuable, just that specific forum. And I don't think that necessarily we need to have very super specific town halls on like this one topic all the time, like that just kind of generalized, here's what the city of Liberty like does for you, was great. And it really helped me get involved.
Yeah. I just thought of something quickly on this. If we want to make any changes to this, what's the pathway? What happens? Who does it go to?
City council.
Do we want to
Same-
bring that up?
Same processes.
Yeah, right. I'm sort of leading the witness here, but what do we want that? I'm just asking right now, do we want that? Will that pique anyone's interest in any other direction and, get a sort of spotlight on what we're doing? Is that a good thing? Do we want to?
Maybe we ought to just mute it, keep it the way it is.
And I don't want to squash it for real reasons, but does that?
It's I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. It's just been a thorn in our side for 2 years now. And it's unfortunate that we don't have more people that want to bang on our door to come in and volunteer. And it's a shame, but let's just leave it the way it is for right now.
I'm just a little scared about that somehow.
Yeah. Well, it's worked so far, it just to the point to where we've got 2 new people.
Yeah.
So maybe after the town hall, while we're at the town hall, we'll be talking, Winter Glow, but there may be some
Well-
people there that might be, you could say, hey, we've
That
got
happened
2
last
openings
year.
we got 2 openings at the community, at CEC. Or if you're interested, have an application there, have some apps there.
And also the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And speaking of the
We
Winter
have
Glow,
those at the farmer's market applications.
Maybe in the notebook.
speaking of the Winter Glow, that will be advertised as a public meeting for all commissions. So you don't need to worry about, quorum issues. You may want to wear your badges, and then when you're wearing your badges,
Absolutely.
start engaging with people
Yep.
and maybe potentially recruit.
Yeah. I'd like to, we can. Put
Leah,
up-
I'm going to get you a badge, by the way.
And Logan.
I
Logan,
got mine.
Oh, you got, okay.
Would anybody be opposed to putting this discussion about membership requirements on the next or upcoming agendas if we just kind of keep the discussion alive a little bit and see if we're getting people or,
I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, we can.
and it can be
keep
brief
on
next time.
there.
We don't have to beat it to death every
Very
time.
Brief, yeah, you do we or didn't we? Well,
And maybe that's part of a discussion of where are we at with recruitment or engagement. And maybe we just can add that as an upcoming agenda item. Okay.
are you wanting to put a specific meeting?
Yeah, I might email something for the agenda unless anyone, or when we talk later about
we got this
requested items,
We'll talk about it.
when we get down to
Okay,
requested
okay.
items. Okay, let's move on. Opportunities, upcoming community events. Leah?
So at the last meeting, we talked about upcoming community events where maybe we could have like information table or booth or whatever to be out engaging with people when they're congregating. One of the things they brought up was the Memorial Day breakfast, and I did bring it up at Rotary in that one. They said, not this one, it's a solemn event, and we want to keep the focus on the fallen. But they did seem open to having that sort of thing at our Rotary in Motion bike ride in September. So I think maybe we should be contacting like Kiwanis and maybe that like 3-on-3 basketball tournament that's coming up and seeing if we can kind of be out amongst the people and being there when there's already a gathering that we don't have to throw our own thing. Yep. I think it would just be a matter of trying to kind of compile a list of those events and contact information for the folks that's in charge of that. So I don't know if the best way to do that, because wouldn't there be like permits with the city on for use of facilities or whatever where we could find some of that? Because I know we already have a plan for Barefoot in the Park.
My thought is that another organization has already got the permit for an event.
Well, that's seeing that it's there and contacting them because they have that
Yes.
permit.
Then I don't think the CEC would need to also do a permit.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
If the CEC could be part of whatever service organization is doing.
I'm saying,
That
can
could be
we
part-
get the list of permits that have
Simply
been
not.
filed and contact some of those people maybe?
Sure. And I think,
Usually, oftentimes those permits don't come in until shortly before they're due.
Oh, okay.
I can check to see which ones may be kind of more.
Or, I mean, if we know about annual events and stuff that are ongoing, because like, I think, is it Guardian Angels does like a car show every year? Because I heard them pop.
Cops.
That's cops.
Okay, that's that one.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why we can't do something there. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So just anything that brings the community together, if we can try, I mean, yes, it's more manpower on top of doing the farmers markets and stuff, but maybe just kind of seeing which ones we'd want to try to get to and get in
and
front of
we,
people.
this, frankly, this is something we look at the upcoming calendar, and we did last year try to do a little bit more of that. Like, oh, here are the events. And some of us go to ones regularly, others don't go to certain ones. And I think we just had okay, if you can go be part of this a little bit, maybe you could join if there's already a city booth, which a lot of these did, like, have city booths, just show up and be at that booth. We could make it a little more formal. I think we kind of found that over that time period, that was harder for people with the other engagements. It was a definite yes from everybody, just as much as we could with each of those things. And whenever there's a city booth, which there is at lots of these, make sure that we are aware of that and try to make our presence known and be there during that. Yeah.
I got it. How about if we do this? I can contact Kiwanis and find out what events they've got going on this summer, okay? I know they've got movies.
Mhm.
I know they've got their garage sale. No, but there's other things they've got out there, so I can contact Kiwanis.
I'm pretty sure they're involved in that 3-on-3 basketball tournament too.
I don't know if they are.
Is that a church thing?
That's
It's-
a church, that's like.
It's at Legacy Church, but I think Kiwanis is somewhat involved in it.
Find out, talk to Tim. I'll also check with the, John with, the cops and cruisers and that
Mhm.
type of thing. But what I'm saying is that maybe we can bring this up at our next meeting. I can comprise a list of all the events that are happening in the city and have the contact information. And we can sit down and if we want, we can go through it. Okay, which ones do we want to participate in? Okay, we want to go here, here, and here. Okay, of these three, who can all help? And then go from there. I'm not saying we can't be at all of them.
No, but
But
I'm thinking it'd be
you
nice
can
to
do
kind of
that.
spread stuff out throughout the year and not just have all of our engagement try to be in the summer.
Well,
With-
there's not much going in after the summer. See,
Yeah.
that's the downside of, the only things that's going on in the summer is winter glow and the winter, and then after the first of the year, it's pretty well, everyone's hermetized, honestly, and I know what you're saying. We talked about that before in the past, I wish there was something we could do in January, February, March, and well, what is there to do? Nothing. There's nothing really going on. There's just meetings and that's it. And it's a very down time for that. And so we just prepare for, the upcoming season.
And with
But-
farmers market all the time and with this comp plan and
Right.
everything, it's, you start getting stretched really
Yeah.
thin.
But that shouldn't stop it. I mean, any idea or anything, especially when we have a very specific ask that fits with whatever the stakeholders of that. I mean, yes,
Absolutely.
talk to those groups, and it'd be great to have our presence. I think something you'd be really good at, and I think something that we all would really like to see in general is more of a presence at indoor events that maybe aren't the big usual Liberty Lake things. I think we're just kind of building that and figuring out what that looks like, but as those come up, figure out what we can do. As best we can.
I was just trying to think, indoor events, the only indoor event I can think of that's outside of, there's the crab feed at the hub.
I was thinking the hub has a few indoor.
I was gonna say, we kind of branched out and started doing that
And we've
this time
done-
around.
We were involved with the hub last year with the kids event,
mhm.
remember? That
Mhm, yeah.
I worked at a booth there and it was fun. It was a fun event. But I think what You know, we can sit here and talk until we're blue in the face tonight, but I think before we do that, let's find out what events are out there.
Yeah.
Get
for
the
sure.
contact information, bring it back to the meeting next week, next month. And let's kind of throw it out on the table and let's see what we come up with and, you know, we'll pick and choose which ones we
Yeah.
think will benefit. That won't, you know, because our time is all valuable. And I
Yeah.
think we ought to pick ones that.
No, I'm not saying we should do every single event.
Oh, I
but
know, I
yeah.
know, I know, I bet, yeah, I know. But I think.
We have
I think-
lives.
But I can.
You
I
have
can visit-
Longmire to watch.
What's that?
You have Longmire to watch.
Oh, yeah. But I've got, you know, the thing I'm looking at is that, you know, I can go out and do the legwork and get all this and comprise
be
them
awesome.
everything together. And, you know, give me 5-10 minutes at the next meeting, we can spill it out.
That
Great.
sounds
Okay.
perfect. Thank you,
I
Mark.
like that idea.
And a little bit on that, if there's anything we can think, what's our why for going to these all of these events? Is it just just to get more people involved and engaged at any cost, just pique their interest? Or do we have a specific message, even if it's as small as there are town hall meetings, or if it's, you know, hey, you know, you can speak at our meetings or whatever that is. Can we maybe also, if he's gonna do that homework, do a little bit of homework of what it is we'd like to do at these
What's
events?
the agenda at the?
And it might be varied for different things, but if we can just kind of think on that and bring that to our next discussion, I think that might be helpful.
Would you be
Okay,
able to do like sporting events? I was just thinking like during the winter, like football, basketball, like basketball's inside, right? So could you do Liberty Lake High School basketball event for, I don't know, community engagement to, I mean, like Winter Glow? I don't know, I'm just trying to think of something that you could do during the fall, winter, early spring. to
That'd be a
get-
good time to like, for example, talk about the library.
Right.
Because the library, one of the options they're talking about is a community gathering space that would provide some of that opportunity for
sure.
indoor events and things like that. I don't know.
Okay, other upcoming opportunities?
For my note taking, Mark, did you officially volunteer to put a list for next time?
I
Yeah,
didn't
you might.
stutter, did I?
Anything else? Upcoming opportunities? Okay, next meeting, requested items for agenda. I had mentioned, our ordinance, reviewing our ordinance as far as the geographics. And maybe more broadly adding to each or upcoming meetings, just where we're at with filling our spots and recruitment or that type
Are
of thing.
those two separate items?
I think it could be under membership, you know, state of the membership, something like that, and it can have different pieces.
So I have one. Why don't I just do a basic draft, sort of like outline, so we start thinking about our annual report and budget? Because in August, you know, it comes up I have the one from last year, so we can start seeing that. Let's start thinking about it now, so that we don't we got a little bit jammed up the last couple times.
It always sneaks up on us.
So if we start thinking about that now, you know, so then by the time I'll draft it up and then present it to this city council and say, here it is, sort of like what I've done before, so that we're not quite so rushed. So how about that?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. I do have another,
Again, Robin, are you officially volunteering too?
yeah.
Okay.
Did I stutter? No. Not from Mark, what can I say?
Oh, much harsher from you. I love it.
I know, I didn't, but it was just so easy with Mark there. No. Can we think about, you don't have to, because you'll probably still have a quorum, but if Arlene's still online, on July 16th, when we have the CEC meeting, we're going to be at the summer soiree, and I can tell you, I won't be here, and neither will Arlene, because she and Rich have a major part at the summer
Yeah,
soiree.
they're
Mark
cooking.
here, because I've got a wife that would drag me to that.
Well, I
well,
plan on being here.
Okay, so,
Because
okay,
they
so,
presented about it and I was like, dang it, I can't go to that. I have CEC.
Well, maybe you don't.
well,
I guess we better change our CEC.
can we,
meeting.
if we switch
Consider
that. you
changing
can
date
have
of July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we put that on the agenda for next time about
Yes, please.
a change? Because I just, if at least the minimum three of us, and Leo would like to go to the soiree. And I would love to have Leah go to this soiree.
Great.
Yeah.
Been drafted.
Oh, okay, good.
Now listen, I've already lost my record, but I'm trying to beat my 750 at least.
50 was last time.
Yeah, I know that was last time, but I don't know what this looks like, but something on our next agenda. I really think we have to address this growing chasm of community. Every time I'm at a city council meeting, community engagement commission and community engagement comes up more than it has in the past. And I just, it's hard to sit there and sit on our hands. I don't know what that looks like, but I'd like to maybe have some discussion at our upcoming meeting about what we can do in a positive way. I don't know what that looks like yet. Is anyone?
Do in a
Are you-
positive way to engage the,
You mean
City
about the
council?
citizens saying, like indicating that they're not feeling heard?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we hear a lot of that, and I think we need to address it in some way. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's that we feel it's fine, and there's just always going to be some people who say that because they haven't been engaged in all of the opportunities that we've put out there. I don't know. I just the amount that Community Engagement Commission comes up through and around city council is a lot. So I would like to talk about that at our next meeting. I don't
Okay.
necessarily need an open-ended discussion. Do we want to
My
help in some way?
My question is, how do we resolve that? I don't know if there's an answer, because a prime example is David in our audience last night. He did not know about us meeting. So how do we get that information out to where, okay, people, we do meet every third Wednesday. You're more than welcome to come. David didn't know about that.
And that's why I'm thinking it might be important to have at our next meeting some discussion
Some
about that.
discussions, yeah, we gotta think about that and come up with some kind of idea to where we can let the community know that we're here.
Is this a podcast topic?
Could be.
Well, I don't even,
Yeah.
I think okay, a part of it is community engagement commission, but I think the broader theme that I keep on hearing, even at the farmer's market, is just community engagement, but who is listening? That's what I hear. That's what I hear on the broader theme of when I talk
Good
with
idea.
people, and are we being heard? So at least that's what I am getting from the public.
I think a lot of people don't understand how hands are tied at the government level just by RCWs and stuff about things they can and can't do. Something I saw a lot with like school boards and stuff in my previous town where why can't they just do this? Well, because there's specific laws governing the school board. They're not allowed to do those things. There's certain curriculum that's required. And if you skip doing that, then you lose funding. And there's things like that. And I think if there's topics around that where the citizens are not feeling like they're being heard, that maybe they need to be educated about, like, we hear you, but this is, our hands are tied on this one, and this is why, and this is how the RCWs work, and, where our funding comes, blah, 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 or find as a way to educate them. We would love to, take your feedback on that, but this is at the state level. And so these are your representatives that you could contact about changing that.
I think there are two issues really. Broadly. One is what we've been discussing. And the other is creating some path of communication with the city council that changes. Right now, everything we do from their point of view is ad hoc. It's just whatever has caught their attention or is demanding their attention. And there's no continuity, there's no strategic approach, there's no, as I can tell, any serious thought about creating some way that we can interact with each other in a programmatic, perhaps, certainly routine way that creates a conversation that in its turn creates then sort of a long-term as well as a midterm vision, so that it isn't just waiting for the next hot topic to come up.
Mhm.
And even if we do all of these things and don't address the issue of the city council, it's still gonna feel like the same problem. I think we need to, our discussion needs to include both of those things. Because I think we're ready to prepare ourselves to answer the kinds of questions that Leah correctly reminds us that people have. And that Lisa reminds us about the things that we can influence and the things that we've got to sort of swallow. And so I think the discussion is overdue, and it is.
Let's put it on the agenda. Let's think about it.
Good luck titling that, David. Not the agenda, but
We will be in consultation, December.
sounds good. Okay, thank you. Anything else that we should put on for next agenda?
Anything right now, but pardon me, so.
Are we gonna like wear a matching color again next week?
Yeah, you call it.
Okay, fair enough. I got the memo. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I'd say we can end the recording, and thanks for being at our meeting. Cool.
Your record was 750? 740.